So another thing you want to do on your personal injury attorney website is you want to have these hubs on your pages. So when I say hubs, what do I mean? On the header navigation, right? You want to have, as an example, a blog hub. When someone clicks on that blog hub, what they're taken to is a page that has URLs or links to all your blogs. Why we want to do this is because this helps us achieve a full crawl depth. So, what you want to think of is Google comes to the homepage, Google finds the header navigation, it finds the URLs in there. From that, it will then go and crawl those individually, right? So we have the homepage being crawled, then it finds the header navigation, URLs, goes to blog. Blog page has another list of all these URLs. Instead of what you don't want to happen is homepage. Google comes to the homepage, crawls the homepage, finds the URL, right? Oh, goes to blog. You have goes and crawls this page. This page links to another blog, right? This blog links to another blog. Google will crawl the homepage. It will place those URLs in a queue. Let's say 2 days. 2 days later, Google will come by and crawl those URLs it found. Another 2 days later, Google will come by and crawl those URLs it found. And because you have this daisy chain of blogs, right? We had blog links to blog, blog links to blog, blog links to blog. Each additional hop, as an example, will take 2 to 3 days. Because you're not linking to it, you're not showing that it's important. Google's not going to want to come and crawl something that takes 6 hops to get to. You're showing Google, oh, this page isn't important. So what you want to do is you want on your blog page to have links to all of your blogs. You got to make sure though that when you do pagination, that it does not create a new URL string. So what I mean by that is at the bottom, let's say you had like one, two, three, four, five, six, right? You've got 6 pages of blogs. When that button is clicked, you do not want to be taken to a new URL. What can happen is that there are some of these CMS platforms that will do a query string like question mark page, or they'll go blog question mark equals page two as an example, right? So if I have 6 of those, I have 5 URL strings that are going to be thin content. Not only that, that's going to inflate my website with URLs that aren't actually pages. They're just a page with a whole bunch of links on them. So you don't want to do that. What you want to do is you want to make sure when you're clicking on that pagination, we're not taken to a new URL. Now, there are different ways to do this. So, not only do we want to do that for our blog page, but let's say that we serve multiple areas. Let's say that we have multiple services. We also want to have a services page that then will link to all of our individual services. Our locations page is again, we're going to go to locations, and then on that locations page, it's going to link to all of our locations. Homepage to these 3 pages. So we've got our blog, locations, and services. Then from there, let's say each of these have 6 links on their own. That's 8. So from the homepage, boom, homepage, these hubs, boom, access to 18 links. That's how you make it easy for Google to get a full crawl depth of your website. Another thing you want to do is in your sitemap, you want to make sure that you have all of your URLs listed as well. This is another way of helping getting full crawl depth. Not only do you want to do your XML, but I personally like to also create my own HTML version. Another thing you want to be aware of is your URL structure. So when you're going to pick your domain, or if you already have a domain, specifically for personal injury lawyers, you're going to want a .com. .com is a ranking factor. It is going to be extremely difficult and not worth your time to rank anything other than a .com. You don't want to do any other top level domain other than a .com. If you currently don't have a .com, you can leave that website up, but I would get a brand new domain that is a .com, and in that, you're gonna want their keyword. So very similar to your Google Business Profile, you're probably gonna wanna do your law firm's name and then rather a keyword or 2 keywords or the whole search term you're trying to rank for. So let's do Chris's personal injury or Chris's personal injury firm, Chris's personal injury office, Chris personal injury lawyer as examples. Another thing you want to consider is that you want your domain to resolve to one URL. What do I mean when I say you want it to resolve to one URL? So what can happen is you'll have a www version of your URL, or you will have a non-www version of your URL. What you want is to pick one and you want to stick with it the entire way. So if you don't, what can happen is Google will crawl the www version. Google will crawl the non-www version. As an example, www.yourdomain.com or domain.com. If you're not 301 redirecting, if you don't have your proper server config file set up, what's going to happen is that Google's going to hit both. It's going to see your www. It's going to see your non-www, and it's going to think that there's 2 duplicate versions of your website. It's going to think that there's 2 duplicate versions of your site. Not only can that happen, but what also can happen is that if you don't have proper HTTP or HTTPS set up and you're redirecting that, or you don't have your SSL certificate, so you got www, non-www, and you got HTTPS. So different combinations of these, what's going to happen is that you have now 4 different versions of your site because you did not set up the proper URL structure or the 301 redirecting or the server config files, what have you. You now have 4 absolutely identical versions of your site. Another thing you want to consider is that any external links pointing to your site, so let's say you go and set up your social profiles, you got LinkedIn, you got Twitter, you've got YouTube. Those links that you place on those social profiles pointing back to your website can actually hurt you if it's not matching the URL structure that you selected. So a clear illustration, you have a HTTPS www.yourdomain.com. That's the URL structure you selected. But on all your social profiles, you have the non-www version. You just have HTTPS yourdomain.com. That is basically telling Google every time it goes and crawls those profiles, oh, there's this other version. It pings it, then gets a 301 redirect. That doesn't make sense. Or if you don't have it set up, then Google's going to go find that other version and think that there's a duplicate version of your website. So we want to make sure is that on all of your social profiles, on all backlinks that you get, it has to be the domain URL that you've selected. The other thing you want to do is with your blog structures, that blog hub we were talking about, and your services hub and your locations hub, we want to also have these interlinking to each other. So not only is it the 3-click hop from the homepage to find these URLs, but what also happens is as Google hits these URLs, those links to those other pages are also going to help it achieve a full crawl depth. Then what we want to do is, especially with blog content, is we want to have the blog content link to our money page, our page we're trying to rate. So let's say that we're doing personal injury in Miami, right? Or a personal injury lawyer in Miami. On the blog content, we're going to have anchor text that says that keyword, personal injury in Miami. So we have the blog content, we have that link to our money page. This is going to funnel all of those links to our money page. We are clearly and distinctly showing Google we want to rank this page. Not only that, but now we have all of this relevance. An example. So let's say we made a things to do in Miami blog. We have a list of 10 different things that people can go do in Miami. This adds relevance. This adds geographic relevance. This is going to help that page rank in Google in that area. It's going to help it rank locally. And because we have all of these external links pointing to that page with geographic relevance, not only that, but also we have some law blogs. Having all of that blog content and all of these other pages internally on the site, all linking to that page, our money page, that is going to help that page rank higher in Google. Now, there does come a point when that effect starts to wear off. And then at that point, what you need to do is you need to start building links, rather tier twos, tier threes, or tier ones, or just sending a direct press release to that money page to help it rank.